This video is not meant to offend you, even though I know it probably will feel this way. But this video is coming from the heart. This video in many ways reflects a lot of the things that I have done, and in some ways I'm still working on. I can relate to every single one of these points, and this is why I wanted to make this video, because a lot of it is still misunderstood and a lot of it still gets a bad rap, where I just want to help you understand why you're feeling these things so that you can become aware. In a way, makes you feel heard for the things that you have been doing or you've done. This video is going to highlight behaviors that are actually extremely toxic in a relationship that I think some people still think are okay to do, and it's coming from a place of defensiveness, trying to keep yourself safe. And I want you guys to realize that this isn't a healthy way of moving forward in a relationship, because it will inevitably cause more trauma, more betrayal, more mistrust in the relationship, and I want you guys to grow from these feelings. Before I start this video, my name is Vero. If you haven't seen me before, I help you all glow, grow, and thrive from those toxic relationships and traumas in your life. So let's start healing together, because I am still always constantly learning and healing myself. So as mentioned, I completely understand where all this behavior is coming from. And if you are new to realizing this all stems from jealousy. Jealousy is coming from a place of survival. You were really hurt at one point in your life by someone you really trusted, manifested itself in ways where you are trying to just defend yourself and defend your peace because you don't know how to continue trusting people, and the only thing that you can do is protect yourself. These manifestations form into some really unhealthy and toxic behaviors, and I'm here to break it down for you in hopes that this brings awareness to you, in hopes that this makes you feel heard, and in hopes that this gives you some solutions on how to fix this. So one of the biggest things that I've realized was a toxic behavior of mine, and that I've noticed that can get very out of hand in relationships, is if you have a checklist. Basically, waking up and knowing that you have to check certain things about your partner's belongings, your surroundings, to be able to assess a threat that might be happening, but this becomes a daily habit for you. So an example of this is having to go through their follower accounts and see whether or not they followed someone new, or whether or not there's something that you haven't caught. You're being very vigilant on the list of people that they follow, they talk to. Another version of this is going through their belongings, being as thorough as going through the garbage can, trying to find any hints of something that might hurt you, going through their clothes to see if there's anything hidden there. And this is what I mean by having a checklist. From my personal experience, I've definitely woken up to a wave of anxiety, having to go through this checklist, being so dependent on this checklist to make me feel safe. This is described as hypervigilant. Hypervigilance is trying to assess the threat before it even happens. In a way, this also is a version of you trying to seek out a bias. Now, breaking down these two things, hypervigilance is going into things trying to make sure that you won't get hurt and protecting yourself before you can even get hurt. Going into things with a bias is looking for something even though it isn't there. You are searching their phone. You are searching for a reason to pinpoint them and blame them for the reason you're feeling this way. And this is extremely unhealthy, not only for your partner, but also for yourself. I remember so many mornings and so many nights having to go through my phone and setting aside some time to make sure I know every single person that they're following, and in some ways have the opportunity to sneak a look through their phone. There were moments at night where I wouldn't be able to sleep. I would keep myself up if I didn't go through the list. But you're living in such a state of anxiety. And again, I totally understand where this behavior is coming from. It's a defense mechanism. You are trying to protect yourself from the threats that you have felt before when you were hurt. And if you do feel this way, I want you to know you're not alone, but I also want you to recognize that it can get very out of hand. Continue to tell yourself mantras every morning and every night saying that you're safe, saying that you trust your partner, and saying that you're not going to get hurt. Now, the second behavior that can be very unhealthy and very toxic in relationships is controlling what your partner does. down to the games they play, the shows they watch, to the places they see, and to the people they talk to. I understand also where that's coming from because I've been there before too. Perhaps you're being brought back to a situation where your partner went to that one party or your partner went to that one outing and that's when it happened, when you weren't there. Or perhaps you noticed your partner doing something that you should have said and spoken about before and noticed the red flag, but you decided to ignore it, and then down the road it really hurt you. It manifests into wanting to defend yourself and wanting to protect yourself from those things happening again. So you prevent them from going to that place. You prevent them from doing anything that looks like it's going to hurt you. You try to control and manipulate their life in a way where they no longer have the autonomy to their choices. They no longer have the access to their friends. They no longer have their own life to themselves because you're the one dangling them on a string to make yourself happy. And in some ways, I know you realize that, but for whatever reason, you can't let that go because you want to have that control. You want to have that control over the pain. You want to be able to protect yourself and you want to be able to see everything that's happening. One thing that you really need to understand is that you lose even more control by trying to control things. The more you tell them they can't do this, they can't do that, the more out of hand and out of control it will get. You're going to push them away, they're going to lash out, they're going to be withered into nothing, and you will no longer have the same person you started out being in the relationship with. The third behavior that I would point out that is very unhealthy and very toxic is even having friends and family help you investigate or test your partner. I have seen many versions of this. I have done some version of this. And again, that's your bias trying to find a threat because you feel like you need to protect yourself. One important thing that you should know in this situation is if your friend is not giving you the critique you need to challenge those thoughts and challenge those feelings as to why you need to spy on them, why you need them to test them. They are not the kind of people you want to surround yourself with. Feeling of anxiety is just going to continue to grow into an unhealthy seed and bud into this community of mistrust, very toxic relationships, and it just continues to feed your bias as to why you're feeling this way. I would suggest slowly distancing yourself from these friends or slowly ending these actions of asking your friends to do these things for you. You shouldn't have to test your partner, you shouldn't have to spy on them, you shouldn't have other people involved in things that are something that you need to work on. It is not fair to your partner to feel ganged up on. It's not fair to your partner that you're bringing other people involved in your business. It is just overall not a healthy environment if you want to continue sustaining that relationship. I know these things that I've pointed out can really hit the gut and it might really sting to hear some of these things, but these are the things you need to be aware of. If these are behaviors that you are practicing, I would like you to reflect on why you're feeling this way and try the change for the sake of yourself and the relationship, but more importantly yourself, because you don't want to keep living in a constant state of anxiety. Trust me, it's a lonely place. You will lose a lot of people, you will lose parts of yourself, and you'll just continue to feel attacked and defensive when there is no reason to feel that way. So I hope this brings awareness to some of you. After all that is said and done, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope this resonates with you. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.